Good morning. I wanted to talk about pond aeration really quick because I realized that my video yesterday, I totally forgot to mention um, it completely, and that's because it was kind of unplanned and unscripted. So, I mentioned that we have the bog up on this tower, and that serves the purpose of keeping the pond plants away from the ducks so that they can't eat them, which is great. But it also allows us to have this waterfall, and the waterfall serves the purpose of adding oxygen to the pond water. So if we go back here, we have this ball valve that we can use to adjust the flow of the water into the bottom of the bog where it comes up through the perforated pipe. And we found that if we open it more, the water is just too turbulent coming down the waterfall, and some of it will splash out of the where the pond liner is running down the waterfall behind it, so that will create water loss in our pond, which is not ideal. And it's also just too loud. It's hard to be out here when you have this like really loud, turbulent water sound. So we found we don't like to keep it kind of at this level. But we also were finding that there seemed to be some more stagnant areas of our pond that were evidenced by mosquitoes laying their eggs in those areas. So we added some bubblers to the pond, which you can see right here. And this created more problems because raccoons come and think that there are fish or some kind of aquatic life in the bottom of the pond that they want to eat. So they come and they wreak havoc in the night and dig up our aerator stones. So you could see like the air line that's normally supposed to be buried in the rocks, but they dig it up almost on a weekly basis, and we haven't found a good way to anchor it yet. We just have to try a little bit harder, and it just involves getting in the pond, which is not optimal. So yeah, there's it's a constant process of iterating to improve our current setup. But we found that with the air stones, the pond gets adequately oxygenated, and there's enough movement on the surface of the water that mosquitoes aren't able to land and lay their eggs, and the larvae don't start to develop. So oxygen is important to have in an aquatic ecosystem because it prohibits the growth of anaerobic bacteria. And anaerobic bacteria are the kinds that create gross, stagnant, smelly, pathogenic conditions. So if you prevent anaerobic conditions from forming, you're going to have a much healthier pond ecosystem, and promote the growth of good, beneficial aerobic bacteria that need a certain ppm of oxygen in the water to survive, ppm being parts per million. So yeah, that's a bit about our system for aerating the pond. Ideally, I think, we'd want our waterfall to be a little bit more, the force of the water falling into the pond should be a little bit more turbulent to create that really nice, deep, bubbling action below the surface of the water that really adds oxygen to it. But that just didn't really work for our setup. But yeah, we might continue to tweak it as time goes on. So that's it about pond aeration.